I carried a baby for 9 months. I pushed for 11 hours. I handed her to a woman who hugged me and called me her angel. 6 months later, a DNA test showed my husband was the father. They had been sleeping together for 2 years. The $45,000 surrogacy payment wasn't compensation. It was hush money. I was an incubator for my husband's affair baby. I didn't know until a blood test exposed everything. Her name was Victoria. She cried in our first meeting. She told me she couldn't have children. She begged me to help. I said yes. I believed every word, every tear, every lie. My husband watched me bond with his mistress for 9 months. He watched me carry his daughter. He watched me hand her over at the hospital. He never said a word. I was 31 years old, married for 7 years, 2 kids, a house in the suburbs, a husband who kissed me goodbye every morning. I thought I was helping a desperate couple. I was funding my own betrayal. This is the story of how I became a surrogate for my husband's other woman, and didn't find out until the baby got sick. My name is Laurel. I need to tell you how this happened. Not because I want sympathy, because I want you to understand how easy it is to be used by people you trust. How simple it is to become a tool in someone else's plan. How a loving wife and mother can carry her husband's affair baby for 9 months without suspecting a single thing. Ryan and I met in college, freshman year. A party neither of us wanted to attend. He was standing by the drinks table looking uncomfortable. I was looking for an exit. Our eyes met. We both smiled. By morning we were inseparable. By graduation we were engaged. By 25, we were married in my parents' backyard. Everyone said we were perfect. Everyone was wrong. The first 5 years were good. Ryan was attentive, supportive, present. He held my hair when I had morning sickness with Ethan. He cried when our son was born. He did it again when Mia arrived 2 years later. We were building something. I thought it would last forever. I thought a lot of things that turned out to be lies. Year 5. The cracks appeared. Ryan working late. Phone calls outside. A gym membership with no results. I noticed. I didn't investigate. Year 6. The cracks widened. Year 7. I was drowning in suspicions I couldn't prove. I told myself I was paranoid. I told myself every marriage had rough patches. I said nothing. I watched. I waited. I hoped whatever was pulling him away would release its grip. It didn't release. It tightened. The surrogacy idea came from my sister. August 2022. Family dinner. She mentioned an article about gestational carriers. Women who carry babies for couples who can't conceive. You should do it, she said. You have easy pregnancies. You could help someone and get paid. I laughed. The idea seemed strange. But the seed was planted. Over the following weeks I researched agencies. I read testimonials. I calculated how $45,000 could help with our mortgage, our kids' college funds. I didn't know I was calculating my own destruction. Ryan's reaction surprised me. I expected resistance, jealousy, concern about me carrying another man's genetic material. Instead, he listened carefully. He asked thoughtful questions. He said it was beautiful. If you want to do it, I'll support you. You have so much love to give. I was touched. I was moved. I was being set up. His enthusiasm had nothing to do with generosity. It had everything to do with an opportunity he'd been waiting for. I signed with New Beginnings Surrogacy Agency in October 2022. Medical screenings, psychological evaluations, background checks. I passed everything. The coordinator said I was ideal. Previous healthy pregnancies, supportive home environment, exactly what intended parents dream of. I felt proud, chosen, special. I was being selected for slaughter. The intended parents. January 2023. Agency office. Victoria and Nathan Chun arrived with photos and a story that made me cry. Victoria was 37. Beautiful. Polished. Dark hair, sharp cheekbones, designer clothes. Nathan was 39. Quieter. Kind eyes. Nervous energy. They held hands. United front against tragedy. Victoria explained everything. Mortgage syndrome. Born without a uterus. Functioning ovaries but no way to carry a pregnancy. She'd known since 16. They tried adoption for 3 years. Twice matched with birth mothers who changed their minds. Surrogacy was their final hope. She looked at me with tears streaming down her face. Would you consider carrying our baby? I said yes before consulting Ryan. I said yes because her pain seemed real. Her needs seemed genuine. I said yes because I wanted to be the person who made her dream come true. I believed every word, every tear, every carefully constructed lie about a tragedy that never existed the way she described it. The medical process started in February 2023. Victoria underwent egg retrieval. 11 viable eggs. Fertilized with what I was told was Nathan's sperm. I wasn't invited to that part. Privacy during gamete collection, they said. My involvement would begin at embryo transfer. I accepted this without question. I had no reason to suspect the sperm came from somewhere else. From someone else. From my own husband. March 15, 2023. Embryo transfer. I lay on an exam table with my legs in stirrups, while a doctor deposited someone else's baby into my uterus. Victoria held my hand, whispered encouragements, called me brave and generous. Nathan stood in the corner checking his phone. I thought he was nervous. I didn't think about why Ryan had declined to attend. Work conflict, he said. Very convenient. 10 days later. Positive pregnancy test. HCG levels of 487. Strong. Viable. Victoria screamed with joy when I called. She sent $200 worth of flowers. Card said, "You are our miracle." Ryan helped arrange them. Asked questions about Victoria and Nathan. I thought he was interested. He was gathering intelligence. Tracking his mistress's emotional state. Monitoring his secret daughter's development. The first trimester. Morning sickness. Exhaustion. Victoria texted multiple times daily. How are you feeling? Do you need anything? She sent care packages. Ginger candies. Fancy teas. Compression socks that cost more than my entire wardrobe. She took me to expensive restaurants. Paid for prenatal massages. Treated me like royalty. I thought she was grateful. She was managing her investment. Making sure the incubator functioned properly. Ryan changed during my second trimester. More attentive than he'd been in years. More interested in the pregnancy. He offered to drive me to meetings with Victoria. Always stayed in the car. Didn't want to intrude, he said. He asked about medical timelines. Due dates. Delivery plans. I thought surrogacy was bringing us closer. Reigniting something that had dimmed. I was wrong. He was tracking his own daughter's gestation. Monitoring from a safe distance. 20 weeks. Anatomy scan. A girl. Victoria had hoped for a girl. She'd already picked the name. Olivia Grace Chen. She showed me the nursery. Pink walls. White furniture. Custom butterfly mural. $3,000. She talked about Olivia constantly. Plans for her future. Schools. Dance classes. Everything. I listened and smiled. Never suspected the fantasy excluded the man she claimed was Olivia's father. Nathan missed most meetings. Work demands, Victoria said. Big deal closing. He'd be more present after the baby arrived. I accepted this. But I noticed things. He never asked about the pregnancy. Never requested ultrasound photos. When he did attend appointments, he seemed distracted. Uncomfortable. Playing a role he hadn't rehearsed. I mentioned it to Victoria once. She assured me he was just nervous. Coping in his own way. Lying. Nathan was barely involved because Nathan wasn't really the father. He and Victoria had divorced 2 years earlier. She paid him to maintain the fiction. Married couple desperate for a child. I was the only one who didn't know the script. Third trimester. Victoria wanted to be in the delivery room. Wanted to cut the umbilical cord. Wanted skin-to-skin contact immediately. The hospital had protocols for surrogacy births. Legal documents confirming intended parents' rights. I signed everything Victoria's lawyer put in front of me. 47 pages. I read every word. Asked questions. Thought I understood. I understood nothing. November 28, 2023. 3:47 p.m. Olivia Grace Chun entered the world after 11 hours of labor. I was shaking. Exhausted. Victoria was there. Held my hand through contractions. Coached me through pushing. Cried when Olivia emerged. She caught the baby, brought her to her chest, whispered, "Hello, my daughter." Everyone in the room was crying. Beautiful moment. Sacred moment. I didn't feel my husband's DNA in that baby's cells. I just felt proud. The handover wasn't as devastating as I'd feared. I'd prepared for grief, hormonal crash, attachment I couldn't release. But when Victoria carried Olivia out, I felt peace. Completion. She wasn't my baby. Never was. My body was just the vehicle. Journey complete. I went home to my own children, hugged them tighter than usual, told myself I'd done the most meaningful thing of my life. I had no idea what I'd actually done. December 1st, 2023. Final payment. $45,000. Minus agency fees. Minus taxes. Take home approximately $34,000. Ryan suggested a family vacation. Hawaii. Celebrate the end of my surrogacy journey. Reward me for 9 months of sacrifice. I was thrilled. Our marriage felt stronger. I wanted to build on that momentum. We booked flights for February. Planned excursions. Made reservations. Built a future that would last exactly 64 days. February 3rd, 2024. The phone call. I was making dinner. Ethan and Mia arguing about movie night. Ryan supposedly working late. Victoria's name on my screen. I smiled. We'd stayed in touch. Photos of Olivia's development. Milestones. Cute moments. I assumed she was calling to share another update. Laurel. Her voice was shaking. She'd been crying. I need you to come to the hospital. Something happened with Olivia. Something. They found something. I need to talk to you in person. Please. It's urgent. I drove to the pediatric ward. Heart pounding. First thought. Olivia was dying. Second thought. The surrogacy had caused a health problem. Something in my body had damaged her. I imagined 100 terrible scenarios. None came close to the actual truth. Victoria met me in the waiting room. Red-rimmed eyes. Tangled hair. Sweatpants. Stained t-shirt. I'd never seen her look less than perfect. The woman in front of me was a stranger. Destroyed by something I couldn't yet understand. Private conference room. Door closed. Long silence. She clutched a folder of medical documents like evidence at a trial. Finally, she sat across from me. Opened the folder. Olivia developed a fever last week. Wouldn't respond to treatment. Doctors ran blood tests. Then more tests. They found something unexpected. Something that doesn't make sense. Something that changes everything. She pushed a paper toward me. DNA analysis report. Numbers. Genetic markers. Terminology I didn't understand. One line highlighted in yellow. Paternal DNA. No match with Nathan Chun. Possible familial connection to maternal carrier. Maternal carrier. Me. Familial connection to me. Father was someone related to me. Brother. Cousin. Husband. I don't understand, I said. But I was beginning to understand. Beginning to feel the ground shift. Possibilities rearranging into certainties. Victoria started crying. Not pretty, controlled crying. Ugly. Heaving. Sobs that shook her whole body. Between those sobs, she told me the truth. She met Ryan in 2021. Conference. Drinks at the bar. Dinner. Hotel room. One-time mistake that wasn't one time. Continued for 2 years. 2 years of secret meetings while Ryan slept next to me every night. Kissed our children goodbye every morning. Victoria fell in love with him. Wanted a future with him. Got pregnant once. Miscarried at 9 weeks. That miscarriage broke something. She wanted Ryan's baby with a desperation that overrode every moral boundary. The MRKH syndrome was real. Victoria genuinely couldn't carry a pregnancy. But instead of seeing this as a barrier, she saw opportunity. If she couldn't carry Ryan's baby in her own body, she'd find another body. What better body than the one that already shared a home with him? What better incubator than a wife who trusted her husband completely? The surrogacy was orchestrated from the start. Victoria researched agencies. Found one with lax verification. Manipulated the matching process to ensure I was her carrier. Nathan was barely involved. Divorced years earlier. Paid to maintain the married couple fiction. The eggs were Victoria's. The sperm was Ryan's, collected at a different clinic, different name, combined to create a baby that would be half his, hidden inside my body for 9 months. Ryan knows, Victoria said. He's known the whole time. It was his idea to use you. He said you'd never suspect. He said you trusted him too much to question anything. He was right. I trusted him completely. That trust was a weapon they used against me. I don't remember leaving that conference room. Don't remember walking to my car. Driving to a quiet street. I only remember sitting behind the steering wheel, staring at nothing, feeling my entire life collapse into rubble. My husband conspired with his mistress to use my body as an incubator for their affair baby. He rented me out, paid me $45,000, watched me bond with Victoria for 9 months, watched me carry his daughter, watched me hand her over at the hospital, never said a word, never flinched, just played the supportive husband while his real family was being built inside the wife he had already betrayed. I called him from that quiet street, hand steady, voice calm. When he answered with his usual, "Hey babe, what's up?" Something shifted inside me. Love didn't disappear. It transformed, became colder, harder, sharper. I know about Victoria. I know about Olivia. I know everything. 11 seconds of silence. I counted. 11 seconds while my husband decided whether to keep lying or finally tell the truth. When he spoke, his voice was deflated, defeated. "Laurel, let me explain." "There's nothing to explain. Come home. Pack your things. Be gone before I get there." I hung up without letting him respond. The divorce was filed within a week. Ryan didn't contest. Couldn't. My attorney called it one of the most egregious cases of marital fraud she'd ever encountered. Deception so calculated it bordered on criminal. We explored charges. Reproductive coercion. Fraud. Conspiracy. Legal landscape was complicated. Emotional toll of a criminal trial seemed unbearable. I settled for taking everything. The house. $450,000 equity. The savings. $127,000. Retirement accounts. $340,000. Full custody with supervised visitation. Monthly support until our youngest turns 18. He agreed to all of it. No negotiation. No pushback. He had no leverage. What he'd done was indefensible. Victoria tried to contact me dozens of times. Text, calls, emails, handwritten letters delivered to my house. She wanted to apologize, explain, make me understand she'd been desperate, broken by infertility, in love with a man who belonged to someone else. She didn't apologize for the affair. Didn't apologize for recruiting me into a scheme that violated my body and my marriage simultaneously. Only apologized for getting caught. I blocked her number, returned letters unopened, instructed my attorney to handle any communication through legal channels. The legal situation with Olivia remains complicated. Victoria's name on the birth certificate. Nathan listed as father despite no biological connection. Birth certificate is fraudulent. Surrogacy contract based on lies. My attorneys argue the entire arrangement constitutes reproductive fraud. Denied informed consent. Case still winding through courts. I don't know how it ends. Don't know if I'll see additional compensation. What I know is I was wronged in ways the legal system wasn't designed to address. My children. The hardest part. Ethan is 10 now. Old enough to understand daddy did something bad. Old enough to ask questions I can't answer. Mia's 7. Confused about why daddy doesn't live with us. Asking when he's coming back. Not understanding that coming back isn't the plan. I haven't told them about Olivia. They have a half-sister they've never met. Genetic connection to a baby their father conceived with another woman using their mother's body. How do you explain that to a child? You don't. You carry that knowledge alone until they're old enough to share the weight. Ryan moved across town. Apartment with a pool. Sees the kids every other weekend. Supervised. They come back with stories about pizza and movies in dad's new place. They don't know why dad's new place exists. They just know something changed. Something broke. Their family doesn't look the same anymore. I don't want custody of Olivia. That question comes up. Well-meaning friends. Curious acquaintances. They assume I must want to claim the baby I carried. But Olivia isn't my biological child. Victoria's eggs were used. My connection is gestational, not genetic. Taking her wouldn't correct the wrong done to me. Would just create new trauma. New victim. Olivia deserves stability. Not to be a trophy in a battle between women who already have too many wounds. Victoria is raising Olivia alone. Nathan disappeared once the DNA revelation made his role impossible. Ryan signed away parental rights as part of our settlement. Strategic decision. Limited legal exposure. So Olivia grows up with a mother who manipulated her way into parenthood. No legal father. Biological father who abandoned her before she knew he existed. Tragic origin story for an innocent child. Sometimes I feel guilty. Then I remind myself I didn't create this situation. Ryan and Victoria did. I was just the vessel they used without my knowledge or consent. Therapy has helped. Slowly. Incrementally. Ways that don't feel like progress until you look back and see how far you've traveled. Specialist in betrayal trauma. Therapist who understands what Ryan and Victoria did doesn't fit neatly into categories. Not traditional infidelity. The affair existed, but my participation was involuntary. Not assault. I consented to the pregnancy, just not to what I was actually carrying. I was used. Exploited. Instrumentalized. Turned into a tool for someone else's agenda, while believing I was acting freely. My therapist calls it intimate deception. Betrayal that violates trust, bodily autonomy, the fundamental sense of knowing what's real. The hardest days are when I think about what could have been. If that blood test came back normal. If Olivia never got sick. If the DNA analysis was never run. I'd still be married to Ryan. Still trusting him completely. Still believing our marriage had strengthened during the surrogacy. I'd have gone to Hawaii with him. Made love in a hotel overlooking the ocean. Lived the rest of my life inside a lie. Sometimes I'm grateful for that blood test. Sometimes I wish I'd never learned the truth. Ignorance might have been kinder than this knowledge. I think about Olivia sometimes. Not often. But sometimes. She's 2 years old now. Walking. Talking. Becoming a person. She has Ryan's eyes according to a photo Victoria posted before I blocked her. Victoria's dark hair. My pregnancy. 9 months of heartburn and swollen ankles encoded in her earliest cellular memories. I carried her. Nourished her. Brought her into the world. Will probably never see her again. 18 months since I learned the truth. 18 months of lawyers and therapy and sleepless nights. I am 33 years old now. Single for the first time in over a decade. Raising 2 children while rebuilding an identity that was systematically dismantled. I am not the same person I was before. That person was trusting. Open. Generous to a fault. Believed helping others was always right. Good intentions always rewarded. People who claim to love you wouldn't deliberately destroy you. That person is gone. She died in a hospital conference room looking at a DNA report that proved her husband had conspired with his mistress to use her body as a breeding facility. The person who remains is different. Harder. More suspicious. Slower to trust. Quicker to question. But also stronger. More resilient. More capable of surviving devastation and rebuilding from wreckage. I don't recommend my path to strength. Wouldn't wish my experience on anyone. But I am proof you can survive betrayals that seem unsurvivable. Rebuild identities that seem irreparably shattered. Emerge from manipulation with sanity and dignity intact. If you are considering surrogacy, please learn from me. Verify everything. Demand DNA testing before embryo transfer. Not just to confirm parents' identities. To confirm the embryo matches the paperwork. Meet the sperm donor in person. Even if they claim to be the intended father. Ask questions that make people uncomfortable. Trust your instincts when something feels wrong. Most surrogacy arrangements are exactly what they appear to be. Beautiful acts of generosity. But some are traps. Schemes designed to exploit your kindness. You deserve to know the difference before you commit your body to 9 months of sacrifice. The $45,000 is gone. Legal fees. Therapy. Emergency fund every single parent needs. Money meant for vacations and college savings funded the dismantling of my marriage instead. Appropriate in a way. The payment was always meant to compensate me for something. Just turns out that something wasn't surrogacy. It was survival. And survival is more expensive than anyone tells you. Olivia turns 2 next month. November 28th. Anniversary of the day I pushed for 11 hours and delivered a baby I didn't know was my husband's. I don't know how I'll feel. What I know is I'll wake up, take care of my children, go to work, continue building the life Ryan and Victoria tried to steal. They wanted a baby. They got one. They also got consequences they never anticipated. Exposure, divorce, legal action, permanent knowledge that they built their family on cruelty that can never be erased. My name is Laurel. I was a surrogate who carried her husband's affair baby without knowing it. I was paid $45,000 to incubate a secret. I handed my husband's daughter to his mistress in a hospital room and cried happy tears because I thought I was doing something beautiful. I was wrong about almost everything. But I was right about one thing. I am capable of extraordinary generosity. Ryan and Victoria used that against me. Twisted my best trait into a weapon. But they didn't destroy it. That capacity for love and sacrifice is still part of who I am. Just deployed more carefully now. Given only to those who've earned it. Protected by boundaries I should have built years ago. Some days survival feels like enough. Some days it feels like everything. And on the days when it doesn't feel like anything at all, I remind myself that survival is its own victory. Ryan and Victoria wanted a baby. They got one. But they also got the permanent public knowledge that they are monsters. That their family was built on betrayal. That their daughter exists because they exploited a woman whose only crime was trusting people who didn't deserve it. That's not justice exactly. But it's something. And sometimes something is all you get.